Good evening, everybody. 大家好. My name is Heng Sure, and today is Friday, August 21st, here in Northern California. Glad you're with us. Those of you, it's noontime in Australia. It's still morning in China and Taiwan. We're going to be investigating the next episode of the picture biography of Master Empty Cloud. So I do hope that's what you've come for. Today, Vera is going to request Dharma for us all the way from Brazil. So we're going to first ring the bell 3 times and then make 3 half bows. And then we're going to have Vera request Dharma. So let's get started. I'll ring the bell. Here we go. Yi Wenxun, first bow. Tsai Wenxun, second bow. San Wenxun, third bow. Alrighty. Vera, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it now.
恭敬大德圣体，为此法会集皆众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahudi sanmyao sanputoshe.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahodi samyao samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All right. Thank you very much, Vera. Lovely. And I accept the invitation. I'll be happy to do so. The 𝗤𝗨𝗻 Ohlone people practice their spiritual traditions here on their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years, and today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就说欧罗尼的人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人，我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Bells sound wide resounds. throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法扬万亿国中，共寻其法界和平，利益报他若后得。All right, indeed. There we go. Here is our grand teacher, surrounded by a multitude of monks and nuns. Notice directly behind Master Empty Cloud are a number of bhikshunis, interestingly. And then off to his right are more nuns. Off to Master Empty Cloud's left are bhikshus. And then in the back are more bhikshus. Sitting right next to Master Empty Cloud on the bench in full lotus is to his right, to your left as you look, is Master Haideng. And the monk to Master Empty Cloud's left, to your right, I would love to know who that is. I don't know that monk's name. I suspect that it may be one of the monks mentioned in our lecture. I don't know. If anyone knows who is this particular bhikshu, that would be very helpful. Be nice, because we're now at the very end. The last monks who accompanied Master Empty Cloud at Yunmen are greatly celebrated because they went through a great deal of pain with him. So one of the monks, Miao Yun, was beaten to death. So I wonder who this monk is. All right. Good evening, everybody. We are here. There are 100 of us online already from many places. Many hands participated in this, getting this lecture out into the world, including our fearless coordinator, Chunyu, who, as we speak, is on an airplane. The doors were just closed and people were told to get offline so the plane could take off. She, from the airplane, just checked in to see that everything was going right. And, of course, the faithful, hardworking volunteers who are taking over, Yihuan and Jason and Alan and others, and Cliff is our translator. They are, of course, making sure that all is well, but I appreciate the sincerity of our coordinator, who, even as she's flying off to Europe, had to check in to see if all was well, right? Good stuff. Last week, Master Empty Cloud was beaten to death. What a terrible thing to have to say. And he went off to the Tushita heaven, where none other than Maitreya Bodhisattva told him to return, that his work on earth was not yet done, that he still had a duty to perform, and at age 112, he still came back for another 8 years of toil and service. Kind of hard to believe, very hard to believe, not kind of hard to believe. And that's the story. So because what became known as the Yunmen Incident, Yunmen Incident, still has stories to record, we're going to continue with that tragic and eventful series of disasters. So that's where we are. Here we are. Tonight we're going to both read 2 episodes from the picture biography and then finish with, add the details and the color from the Nianpu, from the autobiography. Let's begin here. It's called 经调查同斩柴, being investigated and gathering firewood together. It's the 3rd year of the People's Republic. It's 1951. Master 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗃 is 112. 至此僧众仍无自由，即时犯遗受监视。5月，世传至北京。Amazing, amazing stuff. After these events, the Sangha was denied its freedom. Even their eating was monitored. In the 5th lunar month, news of the seizure reached Beijing, and the government sent public officials and county authorities to investigate the situation at the monastery. I might add, 90 days late. When asked, the master told them nothing had happened. However, he had become deaf and blind, literally, physically. The seizure of Yunmen Monastery gradually relaxed, but the food supply was entirely gone. The master commented, "Because my karma has implicated all of you, you have to go without food. You are now free to come or go." But the community refused to go. They collected and sold firewood to buy rice and cook porridge, which everyone ate together. Their daily cultivation went on as usual. Okay, so does everybody see the dynamics here? So because the picture biography has to be so brief, so terse, just to fit the space, a lot of the subtlety has to be inferred from these sparse details. So the 100 bandits are still there. They are still in control of the monastery, and they, as we found out last week, because they couldn't kill Master 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗃, they were sure they had beaten him to death. And yet, he came back. He sat up. He continued to meditate. And they were frightened, frankly, because they couldn't kill him. They had left him dead. They beat him until he bled from every orifice. But they came back, and sure enough, there he was. So, at this point, this has been going on for 90 days. The occupation of the monastery, and the word finally gets to Beijing. It has to travel from the south to the north, and because of the civil war that has only recently been resolved as the communists took over, but in the extremities of the country, this is in the far south, things are not peaceful yet. So the word goes out, and the government, knowing that their most famous 112-year-old monk is now in mortal danger and in fact has been killed, they finally manage to send investigative reporters and official people in uniforms and with fancy hats to come and find out what happened. And so typically they ask Master Empty Cloud to lay the blame. Who did it? They want to know so that they can show their official strength, etc., etc. He says, nothing happened. And mind you, his ears and eyes don't work anymore because he hasn't had any medical help. There have been no doctors who could get through, and he couldn't go anywhere. So bit by bit, the bandits sneak away, and at this point, the food is gone. So here's another typical bodhisattva-like intervention. Master Empty Cloud says, it's all my fault. He says, it's my bad karma that has caused this disaster to fall on your heads, right? He's apologizing to everybody, saying that because they came to follow him, they've had to suffer too. So now they're all starving. He says, please don't feel obligated to stick around just because you're my disciples. Go feed yourselves. Go take care of yourselves. Save your lives. None of them do it. They all stay with him, go out and find a way to earn money. They gathered firewood to get some pennies. They bought rice, they cooked porridge, and everybody shared it together, which was always his style. Some of the monks did handicrafts, some of them did service or labor. And at the same time, the monastery kept the standards. They kept the meditations, they kept the ceremonies going, which of course was what he would have preferred. So this is the influence of a person with real virtue, that the monks were reflecting his own standards of selflessness and service and keeping the Dharma alive. So the verse goes like this: 登山斩柴薪，复是换百米，既无你我他，𝗕𝗲𝗀𝗃。 Climbing the hills to cut and gather firewood, they went to the market and exchanged wood for rice. Since there is no you, me, or others, true harmony of a single substance prevailed. Amazing. All right. Let's go now to the Nianpu, to our supplementary source. Cliff, I'm going to ask you to read these two paragraphs, if you would, so that our Chinese audience can see the original source, and then I'll read the English for our English speakers. Okay, Cliff, if you could start right here. 经此数日.
Okay. 经此数日，行凶个人目睹施行奇特，一位见生，互相耳语。有似头目者问僧曰：“为什么老家伙打不死他？”答曰：“老和尚为众生受苦，为你们消灾，打不死的，酒后自知。”其人悚然，从此不敢复向施食处毒。唯事情扩大至此，所图未获，更恐泄露风声，故仍为困。即侦查搜检，对各僧人不准说话，不准外出，即饮食受监视限制，如是者又月余。时施所受处毒，伤痕并发，病势日增，目不能视，耳众一听。弟子虑有意外，促师口述生平事略，随录为自述年谱草稿，此正实实也。 夏历4月间，云门事变渐渐传至邵州。先由曲江大建寺僧人通知在北京之师门弟子及海外同门连同救援。于是北京方面电令地方政府严查，围困使序渐松懈，而所有粮食衣物大部掠夺去。师自重伤后，不进粥饭，日饮清水。既知粮尽，白众曰：“老人业重，待累各位。事至今日，各位似应分向各方求生续命，而僧众皆不愿离师去，乃集众望后山采樵，量为轻重，挑于10余20里之市集出售，得钱买米回寺，煮粥同时，招募客送及坐香不辍。”
Alrighty, thank you. After several days of this, the men who had committed the violence, having witnessed the master's extraordinary conduct, gradually became suspicious and fearful. They whispered among themselves. One who appeared to be their leader asked a monk, "Why can't the old man be beaten to death?" How sad. The monk replied, "The old monk is undergoing suffering on behalf of living beings and averting calamities for you. You cannot beat him to death. In time, you will understand." The man was visibly shaken, and from that point on, they no longer dared subject the master to further torture. Nevertheless, matters had already gone too far. They had failed to obtain what they were seeking. They were even more afraid that word of what had happened might leak out. They therefore continued to keep the monastery under siege, conducting investigations and searches. The monks were forbidden to speak and forbidden to leave. Even their food and drink were monitored and restricted. This continued for more than another month. Meanwhile, the injuries the master had suffered under torture began to manifest themselves together. His condition worsened day by day. He could no longer see, and his hearing had become still more impaired. Fearing that something might happen to him, his disciples urged him to dictate a brief account of his life. They recorded it as he spoke, producing the draft of his autobiographical chronological record. It was precisely at this time that the draft was composed that we are listening to. During the 4th lunar month, news of the Yunmen Incident gradually reached Shaozhou. Monks at Dajin Monastery in Qujiang first notified the master's disciples in Beijing, as well as his fellow disciples overseas, and they joined together in efforts to rescue him. As a result, authorities in Beijing sent telegrams ordering the local government to conduct a strict investigation. Only then did the siege gradually begin to ease. By this time, however, most of the monastery's food supplies and clothing had been plundered. Ever since suffering his severe injuries, the master had taken neither rice nor porridge, drinking only plain water each day. Later, when he learned the monastery's food supplies had been exhausted, he addressed the assembly. "This old man's karmic burden is heavy, and I have brought all of you into suffering along with me. Things have now reached such a state that it seems you should disperse in all different directions and find some way to survive and save your lives." None of the monks were willing to leave the master. They therefore gathered together and went into the hills behind the monastery to cut firewood. They divided the loads according to what each person could carry and shouldered them to marketplaces 10 or 20 li away. 3 li is a Chinese mile, so this is like 7 or 8 miles, where they sold the wood. With the money they earned, they bought rice and carried it back to the monastery. There they cooked porridge and shared it together. Throughout all of this, they never ceased their morning and evening recitation or their periods of seated meditation. How about that? So, the details here, we still haven't heard specifically who this is. And at no time in this entire episode does anybody name the culprits, name who the bandits are. And part of that is political savvy. Because why? If the people one reason is the people who are doing this probably have no particular affiliation. It's a combination of soldiers who may be deserters. It may be the bandits who previously fought off the Republic soldiers who were coming to rescue the monastery. Master 𝗕𝗄𝗃 prevented that bloodshed from continuing, right? So who is who? Our commentary will not say. Fearing reprisals, fearing worse treatment if the people named come back, or if the people named, if the power changes in the future, who's in charge? It's hard to know. So we don't find out in the end who these 100 men are. But like all of the people who encounter Master 𝗕𝗄𝗃 and are taught and transformed by him, uniformly they see Superman, someone who is able to function at a level that no ordinary person can. For example, he hasn't eaten since he's been beaten, and months have gone by without any medical intervention, and he's still alive, drinking water only. So how does this happen? So bit by bit, it turns out, according to the story here, it's his disciples who call north to any place where some organized rescue effort might come. His disciples, he has disciples all over the country, and so the word finally gets to Beijing that they need to come down and see if they can't chase away the occupiers, the invaders who are eating all the food and using all the clothes, taking everything that they can carry or consume, and do something about it. So bit by bit, the Beijing sends a telegram telling the local government to conduct a strict. What if the brothers of the local government officials are the ones in the monastery? It is all possible, because there's been a major upheaval in China. It's hard to know who is who. So, in any case, bit by bit, the siege begins gradually to ease. Okay? So, then, interesting how 𝗕 picks for his poem the solidarity and the loyalty of the Sangha who have been released by Master 𝗕𝗄𝗃. Please go save your life. If you stay here, there's nothing but hardship and bitter suffering and cultivation. And they choose to stay. They find a way to do what many monks would not be doing in a normal time. They would simply be there cultivating. They wouldn't go out to gather wood and do hard labor to get pennies to buy rice. But in these circumstances, it's do that or starve, and they want to follow the master's example and become truly selfless. So they go out and do whatever they can to earn money and then bring it back and share it with everyone. All right, we are going to go to episode number 2 now and then do the same. We're going to come back to the Nianpu and fill in the details. So here's the next episode. 1952, he's now 113, from Yunmen traveling to Beijing. 出云门进北京。壬辰113岁，春宫上病烧菜，令众安禅行道，整参居。正月至3月，北京4次殿，请公北行，专言护送，共告众曰：时既至矣，未晚较难，已当如此。乃属连云：坐月武帝4朝，不觉沧桑几度，受尽九魔十难，了知世事无常。4月初4日，邪4智者，邪4逝者北上。The master's injuries improved slightly in the spring of 1952 during his 113th year. He led the assembly, sitting in Chan meditation, practicing the way, and readjusting to the aftermath of his beating. The government in Beijing, that's the People's Republic, telegraphed 4 times between the 1st and 3rd lunar months, requesting the master to come to Beijing. Officers were sent to accompany him, and he told the community, "The time has come for me to leave, for the Dharma teachings are at risk." He then composed a match couplet, which reads, "Sitting quietly, I witnessed 5 emperors and 4 regimes pass by, scarcely aware how many transformations the world has undergone." The second line of the couplet goes, "Having endured countless trials and tribulations, I come to fully understand the impermanence of worldly affairs." So on the 4th day of the 4th lunar month, he headed north with 4 attendants. Here he is leaving Yunmen. These are the officials from Beijing who have come. Here's the bearers, the Sherpas going to travel from the south up to the north. It's a great image. Shifu's poem goes, 宫院复北平，晚教就尼僧，十方大团结，一致力实行。The master agreed, then traveled on to Beijing to rescue the Dharma and the Sangha. The many schools came from all directions to unite their strength and truly cultivate together. The verse goes like this. The master, Yuan, this is Yuan-yi, was willing, he agreed to go to Beiping, which is the name before it became Beijing again, to save the Dharma and to save Ni, Sung, Bhikshunis, and Sangha, meaning monks and nuns, the Dharma and the Sangha, to save the teachings and the Sangha. Shifang Da Tuanjie, 10 directions, large, uniting. Yizhi, one will, with strength, really cultivate. So, what is invisible, the master's rebuilding of Yunmen Monastery is something you can see. He had all those images made. When he got there, they said that the grass growing inside the Buddha hall was 2 or 3 feet tall. There was only one old monk at Yunmen, this famous, illustrious, ancient monastery, and he was there just to kind of light incense every now and then when he could in front of the Buddhas. But everything else was in total ruin when Master Empty Cloud arrived. And after 10 years, he rebuilt it, made it magnificent. Further, invisibly, he rebuilt the Yunmen lineage of the Chan school and ordained monks and charged them with the duty of keeping Yunmen Zong alive. So he truly rebuilt. When people say that Master Empty Cloud, they call him the 𝗕𝗲𝗽𝗀𝗻, the Polaris, the North Star of the Chan school. It's because he did indeed single-handedly bring 5 schools that formerly flourished in China back together, rebuilding them from scratch, essentially, because the lineages had been broken centuries before. So the Yunmen school is one of those. Let's take a look. Okay, Cliff, you've got some reading to do here, if you would please. Let's see, is that big enough? Okay, 5月上旬。
5月上旬，北京政府派专员数人至粤，会同广东省政府人员于5月22日到达鲁源县署，23日即1951年6月28日抵云门寺实地调查，携有技术人员及录音机、摄像机等等。先慰问师法体清安否？师并卧榻上，耳聋目聩，并不知是经岳所派之大员。既见地方官警，更不欲有所说。问师曾受虐待否？财物有损之否？师均言无。其后各员表明身份，师只言请诸君切实调查，回京报告。各员再三安慰，并斥地方有司查明，将先所居之僧人释放。即云门寺至下历2月24日起至5月23日止，始脱苦境。事后北京有人复编者书曰：须师事公只知其概况，所以复安之故，可成一书，今亦未由奉告。其中情形曲折可知。秋冬之际，师于重伤重病之后从事休养，僧众100人，必以彩桥耕植及手工业度日。附近110乡村闻云门解围，先来看和尚，而师之弟子在京内外者多方设法，欲师离开云门，且时有函电至地方有司，殷勤劝慰，云门事变至此告以段落。
All right. In the first part of the 5th lunar month, the Beijing government dispatched several special commissioners to Guangdong. Together with officials of the Guangdong provincial government, they arrived at the Ruyan County government offices on the 22nd day of the month. On the 23rd, which was June 28, 1951, they reached Yunmen Monastery to conduct an investigation on the spot. They brought technical personnel, recording equipment, movie cameras, and other equipment with them. They first inquired after the master's health and asked whether he was recovering comfortably. At that time, the master lay ill upon his bed, deaf and nearly blind. He didn't realize those were senior officials dispatched from Beijing and Guangdong. When he saw local officials and police among them, he was less inclined to say anything. They asked whether he'd been subjected to abuse and whether any property had been lost or damaged. To both questions, the master replied, "Nope." Only afterwards did the commissioners make their identities known. The master merely said, "Gentlemen, please investigate the matter thoroughly and report what you find when you return to Beijing." The officials repeatedly offered words of reassurance. They also instructed the local authorities to investigate the matter and release the monks who had previously been detained. Thus, from the 24th day of the 2nd lunar month until the 23rd day of the 5th month, Yunmen Monastery remained in this ordeal. Only then was it finally delivered from its suffering. Afterwards, a friend in Beijing wrote to the editor of the Nianpu, "Regarding the affair of Master Xu Yun, you know only its general outlines. The story of how his safety was ultimately secured could fill an entire book. Even now, however, there is no way I can tell you about it." From this, You can imagine how complicated and circuitous the circumstances behind the affair must have been, and continue to this day. During the autumn and winter, the master recuperated from his grave injuries and serious illness. The community of some 100 monks supported themselves by cutting firewood, cultivating the land, and engaging in handicrafts. When the inhabitants of the scores of villages in the surrounding area heard that the siege of Yunmen had been lifted, they all came to see the elder monk. Meanwhile, the master's disciples in Beijing and elsewhere sought by every possible means to persuade him to leave Yunmen. Letters and telegrams were also repeatedly sent to the local authorities, earnestly urging them to treat him with consideration and ensure his welfare. With this, the Yunmen incident came, for the time being, to a close. Oh my goodness. And you just wonder if, since, if it were not for his incredible spiritual strength and virtue, that would have been the end. He would have died. But he was, on the instructions of 𝗦𝗽𝗶𝗷𝗵𝗔 told to go back. So miraculously, he didn't die. And so here comes, after 3 months after the first invasion by the 100 bandits, the government comes down to investigate with cameras. And they tell the local authorities, do a good job, look into it. Maybe because they don't want it on their watch to be told that while they were in charge, Master Empty Cloud was beaten to death. This is probably a face-saving enterprise at this point, because it's totally pointless what they've done. So even when Master Empty Cloud has communicated to him who is here, finally the government has come, he says, just do a good job. Does he not know who was responsible? Of course he does. But the Bodhisattva wants to cross over living beings, regardless of their condition and who they are. And he also understands cause and effect. And by releasing all the monks to go save themselves, he is taking responsibility. He says, it's my fault. This is my karma. So that's a Buddhist response, is to look within. 回光返照. So from second lunar month's 24th day till the fifth lunar month's 23rd day, this incredible episode took place at Yunmen Monastery. Okay, we've got just this last little bit, and Cliff, I'm going to ask you to read 𝗕𝗱𝗁, please.
𝗕𝗱𝗁，日病稍愈，日领众安禅行道，收拾残局。自夏历正月至3月，北京4次殿阅，请师北行，并派员南来护送。师告众，君主缓行。是曰：时机至矣，今日全国僧伽各精精自守，发人提领，如一盘散沙。倘不团结，成立一有力量机构，其事变恐不止一云门也。我为佛法故，亦当北行。乃选寺中老成者护院，安众已定，行有日矣。乃自书一联云：坐月5帝4朝，不觉沧桑几度，受尽9魔10难，了知世事无常。
All right, thank you. In the spring of that year, the master had somewhat recovered from his illness. Every day he led the assembly in Chan meditation and cultivation while putting things back in order after the recent devastation. From the 1st through the 3rd lunar months, Beijing sent 4 telegrams to Guangdong, inviting the master to travel north, and also dispatched personnel south to escort him. The master informed the assembly of the matter, but they were unanimous in urging him to postpone the journey. The master said, "The time has come. Today the members of the Sangha throughout the country are each anxiously looking after themselves, with no one to provide leadership. We are like a tray of loose sand. If we don't unite and establish an organization with real strength, I fear what happened at Yunmen will not be the only such incident. For the sake of the Buddha Dharma, it is my duty to go north." He therefore selected several mature and experienced members of the monastery to remain behind and safeguard it. Once arrangements had been made and the community settled, the date of his departure was set. He then personally wrote the following couplet. "Sitting quietly, I witnessed 5 emperors and 4 regimes pass by, scarcely aware how many transformations the world has undergone. Having endured 9 ordeals and 10 calamities, at last I know the impermanence of worldly affairs." So, this is an autobiographical matching couplet. People know how matching couplets work, 对对联, right? Here's this one. Just a moment. Where did my matching couplet go? Let's see here. Here we are. Okay. Here we are. This is how matching couplets work. Here's the top line, the one on the right. 坐月五帝四朝，不觉沧桑几度. So that's the first one. The second line, the second couplet, has to match horizontally and also the meaning. So, 坐月受尽, to sit and read literally, but to observe and then to fully endure 5 emperors, 4 dynasties, 9 to experience entirely, 9 rubbings and 10 difficulties. Okay, see the match? 不觉, don't understand, not aware. 了知, finally understand. 沧桑, the how oceans fill up mulberries. So how land becomes oceans. In other words, the world gets topsy-turvy, turned around. 几度, how many times? 是, worldly things. 无常, not constant. In other words, impermanent. Right? Beautifully done. This couplet is just amazing. Right? So, the difficulties that he went through, the 9 kinds of disasters and the 9 rubbings and the 10 difficulties, include such things as being born in a sack, being born in a caul, C-A-U-L, so much that his mother was scared to death and died. And then experiencing on 3 steps 1 bow, twice dying and being saved by Manjushri. And then the first time was in the snow, the second time was with dysentery. Those 2. Being beaten in the Chan monastery at 𝗏旻恣 because he refused to do the official role. So the monks had to beat him. That's the rules. He nearly died. Then falling into the water, bumping downstream overnight till he nearly died. Then after falling in the water, trying to get on the ferry boat and being dragged along and catching his death of cold. Then the illness that followed that, and the monk who could have offered hospitality failed to do so, refused to do so. And then meeting the doctor in Penang who wanted to cut him open while he lived. And then in Thailand, after entering samadhi for a number of days, his whole body turned into wood. His whole body turned stiff, and then being beaten to death. These are all stories that we have encountered with Master Empty Cloud. So what a tough guy is our grand teacher. And don't even mention the fact that he was, after being beaten to death, as far as the ones administering the beating were concerned, he couldn't eat. He just drank water and yet recovered. So, my goodness. Now, we didn't mention in that list of 9 troubles and 10 disasters the time that the Japanese bomber wanted to bomb the monastery, and he was sitting in meditation, and the bombers had mid-air collisions. So it's like, oh my goodness. Golly. So who wants to become a Buddhist monk and live at ease and peace and enter nirvana, right? Well, interesting times we live in. So the 5 emperors that are mentioned are the Daoguang emperor of the Qing dynasty, the Xianfeng reign, the Tongzhi reign, the Guangxu and Xuantong. These are the very last emperors of Chinese dynastic history. The 4 regimes are the concluding years of the Manchu Qing dynasty, then the Taiping rebels who were in charge, and then the the Republic of China from 1911, and then the Communist Party, the Chinese People's Republic. So those are the 4 different regimes. So what can you say about the life of a monk? Well, one is that, as we've been saying consistently, that when it comes to the life of Master Empty Cloud, we have been hearing about the transformations of Buddhism in China in the 19th, 20th, and now the 21st century. But equally important, we've been looking through the lens of the life of this heroic bhikshu at the changes in China and the tumultuous events as China transitioned from an imperial system that kept, for various reasons, kept China in the traditional mold that it had known for centuries, while the Western world had progressed into the advantages and the disadvantages of the Industrial Revolution, and then how China had progressed through being the 𝗤𝗄𝗵𝗶, the sick man of Asia, into catching up with science, catching up with literacy, for example, and what happened to the traditions that were so important in China all along, the literary history, the cultural history, and certainly the Buddhist history, as it came now into the 20th century and the arising of the civil war that led to the Communist Party succeeding, winning, and the effect of that on Buddhism we're going to find out in the next few lectures, the last few lectures of our series. So I want to thank you all for joining and remind everybody that if you care to recite the Buddha's name with us, I'm going to send you to amitabha.drbA.org. Here we are. amitabha.drbA.org. Let me put that into the chat. Please look at the chat, everyone, and copy out. There you go. Click on that link. And what that will do is it takes you to a form, an application form. Put in your name, put in your email, do it again, and then tell us where you live, and that will sign you up. We will then send you the link. It's a Zoom link, and that is useful in China, useful in Taiwan, useful worldwide. And on Thursday nights here in California at 7:30, which is Friday in Australia at, I believe, 12:30, and in Asia is 10:30 a.m., for 15 minutes, we recite the Buddha's name in English, Namo Amitabha, and we do a song. Yesterday, we did the song called Way Out West, wonderful song by Bhikshuni Heng Yin, and these songs are available on YouTube afterwards, the recitations. So yesterday, I only gave one verse of this song. We're going to repeat it correctly tomorrow night during lecture, on the 𝗦𝗲𝗶𝗷𝗶𝗀 lecture. So here we are, looking forward to having you join us. 15 minutes, it's brief, it's no pain to recite with us Namo Amitabha. So that's what I'd like everyone to know about. Meanwhile, thanks to the volunteers for making this lecture happen, and let's dedicate merit tonight. Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. And then before we end, I'd like to invite you to join me in bowing to Guanyin Bodhisattva. Are we ready? Here we go. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. That's going to do it for us for tonight. See you all next week. 阿弥陀佛. Bye, everybody. Take care.